I remember when I found out that Potter was recording for training day 3, I fully told myself, like, you have to get onto this project no matter what. And I'll put my head down and I'll send him beats across. Ironically, this was one of the first beats I sent to him. I didn't know it at the time, but obviously it manifested itself, and then that's how King's Blood came to be.
King's Blood, and I'm next in a line of succession. Live or die around air, so at my discretion. Weed smoking Hennessy in my studio sessions. I pick all this way up and I clean it and press it. And if you're talking about my whack, then I press it and clean it. Difference between us is I live it, you see.
Okay, so for the King's Blood beat, the intros, breakdowns, and kind of a bit of the verses are actually, the sample is made up of 3 different loops that I all got from Splice. So the first sample sounds like this. The second one sounds like this. And then the last one sounds like this. So when you play all 3 of them together, you get this. The main melody or sample that you hear is kind of built from those, and it's just got a little kind of bass underneath it. That sounds like this, with the little vocals in the background too. And then I added a bit of the saxophone in the background as well. And then when you get the second part of the hook, the other 2 little samples come in as well and just back it up a bit more. I think in theory, when you think about using like loops and samples, you might think you're a bit restricted in what you can do with them, but there's so much you could like EQ them, reverse them, put a gross beat on their halftime, whatever. In terms of in this beat, what I did was I literally just varied how they came in and out, so you weren't just hearing the one sample over and over again. There's always something new to listen to. I felt like this was pretty much what I wanted already in terms of like the melody and the sample, whatever. But underneath this, I added like a piano, which I played in myself. I think I got it from Addictive Keys. So for this piano, I panned it wider, just so it filled out the space a bit more. And I added like this little strum effect just to keep the elegant feel of it. And you can do that with like Alt-S and Fruity Loops. You can like make it strum up or down or whatever. After this, I pretty much moved on to the drums, and for the drums I kind of had like a very set vision of what I wanted and what kind of swing I wanted from the drums. The hi-hats were probably the main thing that drove the kind of swing across. So for the hi-hats, I just messed around with like the loudness of the hi-hats and made it sound very acoustic. After this, I added like another little ride in the background just to add a bit more emphasis and accents to it. Next, I felt it needed a crash just to literally emphasize again the start of each new bar and whatever. I think sound selection is really important when it comes to beats like this, because I didn't want to use too many electronic sounds so it didn't throw off the vibe of the track, because I wanted to keep it consistent. Hypocritically though, the next sound I used was a drill snare. But the thing is, I felt like this cut through the whole song and just made sure that the artist could keep on time with it, which is kind of what I wanted to have from it. And it wasn't too electronic, it wasn't too acoustic, so I felt like it hit nicely. For the kicks, I didn't want to have the kicks throw off the artist, so what I did was I had the kick follow the bass line on sample. So that sounds like this. I added a couple of little vox sticks in the background. You can probably barely hear them this time. They're just something else to listen to in the background of the beat, just fill out the texture a bit. Okay, so after all that was done, I kind of liked how varied the beat was, but I felt like in terms of like a bass, I needed like a proper nice bass to go underneath it all. And I had this bass from Nexus that I've used loads and loads of times, and it kind of fits nicely in the rest of the beat and sits nicely as well. There wasn't too much extra going on. It gave the artist a lot of space to flow on it. And speaking of the way I kind of structured it, I had this kind of little 4-bar breakdown before each verse started, which sounds like this. And I did this because I wanted the artist who's rapping on it to kind of be able to build up what they wanted to drop into. So as soon as the hook's over, they can have this 4-bar space to build up some anticipation, whatever, and then it drops into everything with all the drums. And I think that worked really well on the track, because it was the bit where Potter says like different models and singers up in my hotel.
I blame my anxiety, cold nights in my soul, you said you stand by me. I wonder if they believe their own selves. No surety, no nothing, we getting no bail. Different models and singers up in my hotel. I guess I fucked with their feelings and made that hotel. I'm old school like drink.
But my job is kind of make it as easy as I can for the rapper to rap on the beat, if that makes sense, and find their pockets and match their style accordingly. Instead of going for like a normal whoosh riser, because it was like an acoustic beat, on Splice I found a like old sounding drum fill. So before each drop I kind of used that to make it sound more realistic, and like if it was like a live drum set playing it. Lastly, I added my signature sound and my tags and stuff, and I said previously, like, you can hear either one of these 3 sounds and know I made the beat, which is kind of what I want. You know what, I think the way like I structured the beat, the way Potter flowed on it, even the way the engineer mixed it, everything came together exactly how I imagined it to come together. I'm so appreciative of the fact that I was on, like, I could be a part of the Training Day series, and work with someone who I've been listening to from like a young age. So yeah, man, you have to give thanks, get me.
I was tea-house living in some strong smells. Them times when I couldn't get a kiss from Chanel, but now I get my kicks from Chanel, and a pair for my sisters as well. Everybody's sorted. I know I'ma feel guilty.